I find it hard to describe what it is that I do. People, on social media usually, assume everything that I photograph is abandoned or derelict. But this just isn't true. So how would I describe my genre of photography? Well, for over 10 years, I've held a strong affiliation and a passion for urban environments. Heritage architecture, interiors hidden behind closed doors, perhaps underused. Of course, I shot abandoned places, relics and ruins too, but not everything left to decay. I'm drawn to a certain aesthetic, shapes, colours and patterns, buildings, not rotten cars. This form of photography has taken me to cities and places that I never exactly dreamt of going when I first fell in love with travel. Tripoli or Beirut in Lebanon perhaps, Istanbul, Tbilisi, Yangon in Myanmar, and even whole de facto regions such as recently northern Cyprus or Abkhazia in western Georgia. Originally it was the peace and quiet that drew me in, then the allure of capturing the interiors, the textures, unusual shapes, or perhaps even the furniture found in the decaying and hidden structures, such as pianos, as they provide context. The rich history behind each site followed, and of course my photographs serve as some form of visual record of these forgotten eras. And because of this, it was always worth me understanding the history and cultural context behind each of the buildings I visited. Then came the gear. I worked my way through camera bodies and lenses, and tripods too, upgrading over time, with the aim, I suppose, to make the job of photographing these places easier. As a fine art photographer, I have an emphasis on the essence and character of the buildings my camera points at. I like to showcase shapes, ensure there is depth and character in my work, to showcase the unique and vivid colours that are present in this old architecture. And I hope these elements contribute to the visual interests of my photographs. Even after a decade, the sense of adventure and excitement I first felt when I stepped into a new interior for the first time is still the same. An excitement. And despite the ups and downs of the niche and, of course, social media, my main motivation is still the same, to capture the best possible image on location that I can. So today in this video I'm going to delve into why this niche of photography fascinates me, and I'm going to attempt to capture a couple of nice images from this long disused crypt in Bucharest. Yes, a long disused mausoleum. Hidden on the outskirts of the city, a lady granted me access earlier on that day. Okay, so when it comes to photography of such locations, me personally, I'm always on the lookout for one, maybe two key shots. Nice ones, the take-home shots, the must-haves. Today I've got two main shots that I'm going to try and grab, but there's one in particular that looks fantastic that I've just seen as I've done my walkthrough. I'm going to try and capture it. I'm going to use my tilt shift lens. I'm going to go to the back of this main hall of the crematorium here and start there. Try and nail the first shot. Now it's a tight space, so it's going to need me to use my 17mm tilt shift lens. But it could be just using a wide angle. But for me, highlighting the location with the key shot is what it's all about, is to sell that location at its finest. One amazing, two amazing shots. So yeah, let's try and get in there and take some shots. Decay is setting in, but it's a stunning location. I'm so glad I came this morning. Now, in terms of tripod height, it's not the tallest room, so I'm going to get rid of my smallest legs first of all, being careful not to knock or drop the tilt shift, obviously. So yeah, it's not the tallest room, so I've lowered my tripod, got rid of the smallest legs, and I think that's going to give me enough height, because even then, if I'm using the center column, it gives me more control. Let's do it. I like the decay on this section over here. It definitely looks better. I've opted for, I'm going to go for a panoramic, but my tripod height doesn't need to be so high. I think we're kind of there. Now the idea here is I don't want to stretch the kind of main altar there. This is pretty much my opening shot. Let's have a little look at it. I'm just going to make this so you can see what I'm looking at. That's pretty much my opening composition. And that's what it's looking like on the screen. Let me just again make that darker so you can kind of see it. It's difficult, but I love the shadow in it. I'd actually prefer to have that cross a little bit more on the rule of thirds, but the texture and the colours in here are fantastic. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at there. I mean, I could shift my camera position a little bit forward, just into this section, and maybe cut across and get more of the colour in behind. So, in other words, if I'm here in the video camera, something a little bit more like this is what I'm looking for, really. But I want the width and I want that shadow. That's what we're looking for, something like that in our framing. You just see me there kind of moving around the scene, trying to frame up compositions, taking my time, looking at different angles, different heights on the tripod. But more importantly than that, what you've seen me doing is enjoying my time with the camera, taking it in, getting a feel for the space that I'm actually in. I really enjoy these moments, peace and quiet, away from the hustle and bustle of daily life. So of course, for me, the photography is a huge aspect of why I go to these kind of locations. But the history, I mean, look at the history in here. It's fascinating. It's all around me. An incredible kind of testament to time. Kind of, I suppose, the photography, in a way, documents that, but I'm taking a kind of artistic spin on it. So for me, working the composition with the camera going around the space really helps me to get a feel for it. But I always try and remember that kind of, we're in an historic environment. We certainly aren't going to be building mausoleums like this anytime soon. Fascinating spaces. For me, one of the biggest aspects that draws me to a site when I go to it for the first time and seek out a new photograph is the colours, the textures, the tones. Really is the appeal. And for me, for this site, it's definitely this back section with these reds, these blues, this kind of crisp back wall. There's something about it that draws me to it. Time and time again, that's what I'm usually targeting. You'll see it in my photography all the time. I suppose the texture part of that is what's adding the depth to the photograph, making the 2D subject kind of more 3D, bringing it alive. For me, that's what draws the viewer's eye into the images. The texture kind of pulls you through. I don't know, there's something about texture for us photographers that we absolutely love. The kind of crusty decay nature of a wall. There's just something about it, especially when you throw colour into the mix. These shots hopefully come out really nice. I've taken my time, I've tried to enjoy the space, I've tried to frame things up, thinking about the process. That just kind of leaves me to get the main shot, the main haul. So the thing is the other main draw for me really is the uniqueness of this stuff. Like, people within the community shooting urban kind of style photography might be complaining that more people are doing it, but there's a reason for that. And the reason is because it's completely unusual. It's special, there's something about it. People are tired of going to the same locations and it being filled full of Instagram photographers or just general tourists and so on. There's nobody in here. And I know you might say, well, that's because it's a mausoleum, James. And that's true, but that's what I enjoy. There's always these challenges when I turn up to a space. am I going to get in? Can I get some photos? The video is now an added aspect to that that's making things more difficult, of course, as well. Is there a key holder? Is there somebody I can pay to get in or talk to, explain who I am, what I'm doing? There's so many challenges and factors involved, whether the place is just hidden, abandoned, or a relic, a ruin, or just something like a little alleyway hidden in a city centre. You never know the challenges that you're going to be facing. And I think that's what makes it kind of difficult and unusual. But that is all part of the adventure. That is all part of the going to, exploring it, checking it out. That's all part of it. And I have failed many locations. This morning I went to 2 synagogues in the city. Same thing. Couldn't find a key holder, couldn't find a guy, couldn't get in. 10 minutes later, I rock up here and here we are. And that is what I enjoy. It's the buzz from this part that keeps me going. The other thing I enjoy about these types of locations is they keep you on your toes, really. You never quite know what's going to happen in terms of a composition, a framing, lighting. Here, for example, I've got this horrible skylight up above, or horrible window, and it's giving a horrible purple glow in the top of my image. So I've had to overcome it. And this is always something that I'm kind of on the lookout for to do, like to try and overcome a challenge in the location. People assume that you walk in, camera on the tripod, line everything up nice and straight, f8, low ISO, easy. This is an easy style of photography. But most people just go super wide, frame everything up, and that's it. But there's more to it than that. And again, that challenge also keeps me going. It's something that I love overcoming. How am I going to get the best image in this location? What is the best image? What is my shot selection going to be? Time and time again, that's kind of what I'm trying to overcome, that challenge. So then, maybe you're somebody who's a little bit frustrated, bored, maybe demotivated in your current genre of photography. Well, why don't you get the camera, get a tripod, get out into your urban environment and just see what there is? Because for me, honestly, I shoot many different genres over the last 10 years, but I keep coming back to interior photography. There's just something about it. Okay then. So that's pretty much me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's been a pleasure. Something a little bit different for the channel, kind of almost like an inspirational piece rather than educational. Of course, there's parts in there that hopefully you can take away from the video too, though. So maybe you're losing inspiration with your camera and you need some excitement, something different to point your camera at and your lens at. Well, over the next couple of years, I'm going to be running photography tours here in Romania. So why don't you come and join us? My first one starts this weekend. And to be honest with you, the real passion that I have is to show people this heritage, this peace and quiet, these urban environments, but also get the camera on the tripod and teach them a little bit about this style of photography, which of course, if you've seen this channel before, you'll know is not always that simple. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, from here in Romania, bye-bye for now.